Hello again, everyone. Welcome back. In this technical analysis of the stock market video, I call it for a fourth time, question mark. And we'll talk about that in a minute. And we're going to talk about the S&P 500. And whoa, I'm starting to lose my screen here. First, we're going to start off showing a comparison between, just a snapshot of the weekly charts between the Dow, the S&P, the NASDAQ. We're going to look at a couple of indicators. I want to also look at an interesting chart that talks about where we're at with the kind of gain that we've had here in the market. And then we're going to drill in, take a look at the S&P on a daily, weekly Elliott Wave picture. And I want to look at the Bloomberg Commodity Index, oil, gold, and silver. All right, so let's start off here with the weekly charts. You could see the Dow and the S&P had outside candles this week. So higher highs and lower lows than the previous week. A little more bearish looking on the Dow for sure. Not quite an engulfing candle, but it's very close. Both of these were definitely what I would call outside down type candles. We'll see what kind of follow through we get. We've had some pretty sharp movement here over the last several months. The NASDAQ a little bit weaker. All the major indices were down for the week this week. All right, so that's the picture there. Let's go and take a look at a couple of, I'm going to pull up the McClellan Oscillator, a couple of the indicators that we've got. So here's the McClellan Oscillator. And let me adjust where we're at here a little bit. Okay, so we were down here. When you get below minus 150, you're deeply oversold and severely oversold. And when you get above plus 150, you're severely overbought. So we got down here on Thursday, down very severely oversold, minus 214, and we've snapped back up on Friday. But the interesting thing to me is what's going on with the McClellan Summation Index. Look at this. Look where we're at. We are at 701. All right. The Summation Index is a accumulation of all of the McClellan oscillators. Okay. And it gives you a little bit different picture. So we are literally lower right now than anything that was seen in terms of how low it pulled back in September of last year and at the end of October into the beginning of November of last year. And that corrective activity that we had here, we haven't been this low on this indicator since March 4th of 2020. So right before it kept selling off and it broke zero. We break the zero line. I am on high alert right now because we break this zero line and break down, we are going to have severe selling underway. So that occurred in March of last year. When was the last time before that it happened? And I started to lose my voice a little bit there. A little cup of coffee, that'll help. Let me go back over here and let me show you what happened in the fall of 2018. Okay. You remember the fall of 2018, don't you? Okay, as we got into October and we broke zero in October and a whole lot of selling was going on, we snapped back into early December and then all heck broke loose. And we really had some very intensive selling going on into December. So it's going to be real interesting to see where we go right now. Okay, if I can get my voice to cooperate here this morning. All right, so that's going to be real interesting to see what happens here over the next couple of weeks. Expecting some turbulence. Let me show you another look. Okay, let me show you another indicator. The New York Stock Exchange 52-week highs. Okay, daily on the 52-week highs. So what we're looking at with this red line here, this is the moving average, a 21-day moving average. You can see that right here, 21-day simple moving average. Look how it peaked in May 10th of this year. So this was that March sell-off of 2020. It got really low, and then we've been building with the market as the market's been coming back. But since May 10th, this thing has done nothing but decline as the market has continued to go higher. I think that is a big red flag. It tells you that underneath the surface, things aren't so great. Okay, so that's another indicator that's giving you a little different picture than what's going on with the market. All right, let's talk about something else I came across this week. Here's a tweet by Bear Trap's Report. And what they were talking about is, hey guys, we put out this chart on August 5th, and look what Bloomberg just put out today, and this was August 18th. Well, let me just show you what Bloomberg put out, and it's very similar to what they put out. And what they're talking about here is that when the market, and they're focused on the S&P, when the market's had 100% move from low to high, it's run into some pretty decent turbulence, sometimes more severe than others. But the indication is, the implication being, hey, we're right at that point, right at that threshold, we're in for some turbulence, okay? So it's just a matter of what kind of turbulence are we going to get. All right, let's take a look at the S&P. Okay, here's the S&P 500 daily chart, okay? And it's what we've noticed is, it's really interesting that since May, this is the fourth pullback we've had like this, almost identical. Now, May we had a little more trouble snapping back, but it still did it. So 3 days down hard, snaps back, closes above the 10-day moving average, but then it struggled a little bit, but then it recovered. 3 days down hard in June, 3 days down hard in July, 3 days down hard here in August. Now, the third day wasn't a down day, but it definitely was 3 days down, okay? Now we've snapped back. So are we going to snap back just like we did the other 3 times? I've got my doubts, and what I've just shown you and some of the things that are going on underneath the surface is why I've got my doubts about whether it's going to do it. Now, what's going to tell the tale is what happens on Monday, Tuesday this week. Do we get another close above the 10-day moving average and then we break a 2-day high like that? Or do we roll back over? Okay, so we'll watch and see. The other interesting thing, I saw someone tweet about this last week, and that was, it's interesting that these, now this one wasn't a part of the first downdraft, but what was the date of that? May 19th. June 18th, July 19th, August 19th. That's kind of strange, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of interesting that the 18th, 19th of the last 4 months, this has happened in terms of a little bottoming. So 4th time in a row, I mean, you always hear 3 times is a charm. We'll see what happens. Is this about ready to be a bull trap? We'll find out this week. All right, so that's what's going on there. Let me take a look at the Elliott Wave picture that we've got. This really hasn't changed. I still believe that we have completed a 3rd minor wave up from that March 2020 low. Let me take a look at the weekly view in here. And I'm expecting, turbulence. I'm expecting some turbulence. It's just a matter of what kind of pullback are we going to get. Wave 2 was pretty shallow. Are we going to get a deeper one? Are we going to pull back down into this previous 4th wave in here? We'll see. And we'll see what kind of shape it takes, what kind of form it takes. But this picture hasn't changed over the last week. I think we've started something, and we'll see if we roll back over here this coming week. All right, so that is the picture on the S&P 500. Very similar picture on the Dow Industrials. Really hasn't changed either. I've got the same count that we've got on the S&P. Let's take a look at the Bloomberg Commodity Index. I'm going to go to the weekly view. Okay, the Bloomberg Commodity Index pulled back, strongest weekly pullback since mid-June. Okay, so pretty strong move back down. It almost looks to me like we've had five wave sequence in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this 5th wave sequence in here almost looks like a wedgie type of pattern, okay, in terms of the end. And now we're pulling back. We'll see what kind of corrective move we get. But we are definitely getting pretty hard down on oil. When we take a look at oil, I think we've got 5 waves up on oil. Let's just go to the weekly view. You can see it. This is what I think is going on. And USL was down $2.02. And West Texas Intermediate closed 61.88 up here on the near-term futures. You can see the major divergence that was occurring right in here. Okay, and then when we take a look at gold, let's take a look at gold and silver, and I'm going to go, let's go back over here to the moving average view, and let me pull up gold first, and then I'm going to go, and you can see that the interesting thing, if you look at it, either gold or silver, I mean, from a moving average perspective, it looks like they're in a downtrend. I mean, you know, the 55, here's on the daily, 55-day moving average, 21-day moving average, they're definitely in a downtrend. The same thing on silver. I mean, silver's even more of a downtrend, although not so much on a weekly view. Okay, so let's take a look at the bullish scenario, and let me look at the weekly in here. I've been trying to hold the bullish scenario. And right now, but if, you know, it looks, I'm looking for this to turn. It needs to turn back up. If it takes out this level right here, 2060, then I've really got my doubts as to whether this is going to hold. It's really interesting on silver that if you take a line from the high over here in August of last year, there's only one point where it slightly got above that high. And then if you take the low that occurred after that, in September, it never really broke that low. We've literally been in a trading range, that trading range, for the last entire year. Okay, so this is what we're looking at. Let's take a look at gold. Little bit different picture. If I'm trying to hold the bullish scenario, trying to look for this to head higher, this is held up a little bit better in here. It almost looks like a potential reversal candle, but we didn't get much follow through this last week at all. I mean, it was up a whopping 31 cents. So again, I'm looking, if we come down and start to break down below 157, then I really have got my doubts that this is really playing out, and we may have on both of these more bearish scenarios playing out. So we'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks. All right, that's it for this video. If you felt like the video was helpful, give it a thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber to the channel, hit that little subscriber button. And if you'd like more of this kind of information on a regular basis, head on over to joehenches.net and check out the website, check out the membership. Everyone have a great week. We'll talk to you on the next video.